home as the result of an assault. Billy also claims Tim put flour in the gas tank of her car.
Order. Come to order. All rise. Hello. Thank you. Your Honor, this is case number 230 on the calendar in the matter of King versus Palmer. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Ms. King, you and the defendant lived together for a period of time. You claimed two things. First, that he damaged your home while he was in a rage. And second, that he caused some damage to your car when he put some stuff in the gas tank.
Yes.
How long were you a couple?
It was about 2 months before we decided to move in together.
And how long did you actually live together?
About 2.5 months.
Did you move into his house, or did he move into yours, or did you take a place together?
We actually moved into a place together.
So you moved in together, and what happened on the night in question, which was?
November 21st.
What year?
Of last year, 2001.
Okay, go ahead.
It started out with him, he went to Pool League that night.
He went what?
To Pool League. He was on a pool team. And he had come home a little later than usual. I was already in bed. And I got up and was asking him, you know, what had taken so long. Usually he came directly home.
What time did he get home?
It was probably around 12:30, 1 o'clock.
And what time had he usually come home?
Around 11.
You didn't just ask him. Let's be honest.
Oh, I was a little angry, but at the same time, we had a pretty open relationship as far as he had his life, I had my life.
Okay, so you were angry?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
And he got very defensive immediately. And he was sitting on the couch, and we were actually arguing back and forth. And he stood up really fast and grabbed the coffee table and threw it end over end, and it shattered everywhere. It was a mirror coffee table. And just completely went on a rage from there. He grabbed the leg from the coffee table, threw it through the TV. I immediately ran to the bedroom and tried to shut the door. He was right behind me. He slammed the door open so hard that the hook on the back of the door actually went into the wall. That's when it started to get physical. There was a knife about this long that was hanging on the wall next to our bedroom door, and he was threatening to pop the waterbed. And I was screaming, I can't afford that kind of damage, you know that. And he started pointing the knife at me. He stabbed it through the bedroom door. It went through the door into the wall. He threw the knife at me. It landed right next to my head, and there was actually a perfect imprint of the knife in the wall. You could see the handle, the knife itself. He turned around and got very aggressive with me and put his hands around my neck. That's when I started kind of flailing, and I punched him in the side of the head. He carried me across the room by my neck, threw me through the door, and I landed on the linen closet, which was right outside of the bedroom wall. He put his fist through the wall. I ran into the kitchen. I picked up the phone. I dialed 911. He was right on top of me, grabbed the phone from me and hung it up and started screaming at me, "You're going to call the police. You're going to call the police on me. You know I have a warrant." Grabbed the phone from me, threw it on the ground. It shattered. He put his hand through the back screen wall, which is when he cut himself. Immediately started bleeding all over the place. I ran back into the bedroom trying to get away from him. He followed me in the bedroom. We went outside because my children were home. I had a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old that were hiding in their bedroom. So I went outside, locked myself in the car, assuming that the police would be on their way because I dialed 911. He was in my face in the car. I ran back inside trying to lock him out, and he took off after that. Hid in the bushes for about 3 hours. They looked for him with K9 and took pictures of my house. And I actually have the police report.
I'd like to take a look at the police report and the photos if you have them.
I was not able to get the photographs from the police department. But I also have a copy of the security and cleaning and the damage deposit from my landlord. I've moved out of the house, and they had obviously tons of damage to fix the house. Here's a breakdown of what everything cost, not including what I fixed myself.
Go ahead.
I have a slightly different version, Your Honor.
So did she when the police came that night.
I came home that Tuesday night from pool league. It was a little bit later. I'd stayed and shot pool with my friends after league ended. Before I'd even made it to the door, she came out the door screaming at me, "Where you been?" Just going off on me. I came in for about 10 minutes of that screaming. As I was getting ready for bed, I called her an explicit name. "Look, you dumb, could I just please go to bed? I got to work in the morning." That's when I got punched in the head twice. And after that is when I started to tear the house
That's what she
up.
forgot to tell me. That's in the police report, that she told the police that she hit you first.
That's when I started to...
Yeah, how come you
show
forgot?
violence.
You told me about all the things that happened, the coffee table and the glass and everything else. How come you left out the fact that after he called you a name, which was not a nice thing, you punched him in the forehead?
No. That's actually incorrect. I did punch him.
Behind the ear, Your Honor.
I did punch him. That was when he had his hands around my neck.
No.
When I
No.
Your Honor, when I pushed
No.
him, when I
That's
pushed
not
him
what you
on
told the
forehead,
police.
I pushed him on the forehead. There was actually a prior incident with another girlfriend, and he had called her the same name, and she had smacked him on the forehead with a frying pan for calling him that name.
Listen to me.
I did push him in the forehead. He was sitting on the couch. I forgot to. I don't remember a lot of things from that night simply because...
Well, you remembered a lot of detail you told me before, but the one thing you didn't remember was that the first person to use any physical force was you.
Yeah, but...
The first person that put hands on was you.
It was...
And his reaction to putting hands on was to deal with furniture, not to deal with you. He threw over the furniture, he put his hand through a wall, he got angry.
He also...
Speak not.
Okay.
Go.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Just a minute, there's a fly in here. It's irritating me. If I had the proper equipment, I could have done it. Bird, don't be frightened.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Billy King says former live-in boyfriend Tim Palmer destroyed her apartment and then beat her up in a fit of rage. Tim says Billy started it by punching him in the forehead.
Okay, go ahead.
It escalated from there, and I did tear the house up a little bit. I've got a copy of the damages here. I highlighted the ones that I caused.
Okay, so did you pay for the ones that you caused?
No, I just replaced the TV of hers that I broke the very next day with the phone that I allegedly smashed on the
Just a
ground.
minute, you replaced the TV how, sir?
I took the broken one out and put one in there that worked.
Who has that TV now?
She does.
Is that right?
No.
Just a minute, there's a fly in here. It's irritating me.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And then that was on November 21st. We stayed together for another month after that. I went to...
Just a minute. Don't get me off the track. This
Oh, I'm
fly
sorry.
isn't getting me off the track. I want to know where the TV is. He said he bought a new TV. I absolutely believe him that he replaced the TV.
He actually didn't buy a TV. His best friends were our neighbors, and they had a broken TV that they were keeping in the garage. Took 20 minutes for it to warm up, and they allowed me to borrow that TV. And when I offered to give it back, they told me to throw it away.
I gave him $50 and a $100 cordless phone for that TV. It was not broken.
You watched TV afterwards on a TV after this incident when you stayed together and tried to patch things up. Hold on a second.
Yes. Good job.
Go ahead. If I had the proper equipment, I could have done it.
For a month after that, we were together. I went to see my father over Christmas, and she had a problem with that. Cashed one of my unemployment checks while I was gone, signed my name to it, and cashed it at her place of business. Then New Year's Eve, she took off at 11:15, got back at 4 in the morning. I left when she got home because her
Sounds
kids
as if
were
it
there.
wasn't a marriage made in heaven. Listen to me. How much of the damage did you cause?
$135, Your Honor.
And how much are you being billed,
Oh, excuse me?
Miss King?
$2,100 and 20.
Let me see.
I'm also liable for half of the re-rent fee and advertising.
And how much is that?
That's $275 and $21 are the two totals on that.
I'd also like to point out that we were not working it out after that.
I don't care whether you were or you weren't. I want to see what the landlord lists as damage.
They're the same thing. Mine are just highlighted what I caused.
We'll take care of it.
Huh?
We'll take care of it. You fly.
There's also rent.
I moved out in January. She moved out in July.
Was your rent up to date at that time?
Yes, it was.
No,
that late
it was
charge
not.
was.
What about security deposit?
We split that.
I paid the $500 security deposit, which in turn takes care of the $725 that I owed in the back rent minus $200.
Why would you have paid all of the security deposit?
Because when we moved in together, he was not getting paid that much money. He pays an enormous amount of child support because he's about $20,000 behind.
Did you give her half of the security deposit?
Yes, I did. It was $250.
Who paid it? By check?
We paid cash to the landlord, and it had to go on one person's name, so we just used hers.
Your Honor, the reason that we paid cash was because at the time I was working at a pawn shop, and I had a rather expensive ring. And I ended up getting rid of the ring so that
Listen.
we could afford the house.
Let me explain something to you. No court is going to waste their time going through this kind of minutiae with people who choose to live together and test the waters to see if the relationship is going to work. There are certain things that are reasonable. I'm not getting into the $5 here and $10 there and even $50 someplace else. Bird, don't be frightened.
All right.
Thank you, thank you. I hope that wasn't an endangered fly.
I doubt it.
Well, there are those things out here in California. Gotta be careful.
Your Honor,
In any event, there is certain damage that he caused. There's no question that there's certain damage that he caused. Late fees were, I mean, I don't know about this. Re-rent fee is $275. Advertising fee is $21. Certainly he lost his cool. Fair statement?
Fair statement, Your Honor.
Good. You lost your cool to the tune of $500. Now, what proof do you have that he actually put flour in the gas tank of your car? Which is the second part of your claim.
I have a couple of things actually to prove that. I have a receipt from the people who initially fixed my car. I had it towed on.
I have no doubt that somehow your car was vandalized. What proof do you have that the defendant did it?
The night that it happened, it was January 12th. We had separated in November, and I had a date that night with my witness. We had gone out, we came back to my house. We had been friends for quite a while, and so we came back to my house. The children were not there, and decided that he was going to stay at my house that night. You know, no big deal. Throughout the night, Mr. Palmer called a couple of times. I told him, you know, the same thing. I wasn't interested in seeing him or talking to him. He had already given me his house key. He did not have access to my house. He was not supposed to be there. He was actually waiting for me at the next door neighbor's house. He had explicit details of what we were doing in the living room because he was watching us through the window. When we decided that it was late enough and we were going to go to bed for the evening, he broke in through the front door, said, "Not in this house, not in this house," and walked right into the bedroom and left, went to his friend's house, called the police, and was going to immediately take back all the things that he said that he was going to give me because he didn't want them anymore. He was so broken up about our relationship that he didn't want his water back.
Okay, so let's get to the flour in the gas tank.
It was a locked garage. I had extra supplies in the garage. The following day, there was a bag. That's how I knew what it was. There was a bag of flour sitting in the middle of the garage. I actually had to break into the garage at a later date because he wouldn't give me the key. He's the only one that had the key to that garage. And the flour was rummaged out of the box.
You have the key to the garage. How are you going to get your car out?
I didn't leave my car in the garage. I just had belongings in my garage.
So where was the car?
Sitting right in my driveway, right next to the house.
Okay.
He knew,
So?
I mean, we'd been sitting on the couch talking and being intimate with each other for about 2 hours, and he knew things that we were talking about at the beginning of the evening.
So what you're telling me, because he was angry, you assumed, because he was angry, you assumed that he vandalized your car.
It was the following morning that I got up to go to work. It lasted about 6 blocks. My car died. I had it towed, and there was...
So that's what you're telling me. You're telling me that because he was so angry, you assumed that it was him.
Yeah, it would be pretty difficult or very coincidental that it would be somebody else.
I agree with you.
Tony saw him come in.
I agree with you.
He was the one that
agree
called the police.
I agree with you. So far, you've been reasonably honest with me, Mr. Palmer. You've been reasonably honest with me about the damage that you caused. You've been reasonably honest with me about everything else, and you haven't been a loser. You haven't been a loser because I try to be reasonable. Did you put anything in the gas tank of the car?
No, Your Honor.
No.
Actually, Your Honor, I had a key to the front door because we were supposed to go out that night, and I knew something was up when she canceled with me. I came by the house about 1 o'clock in the morning. As I'm walking up to the door, the curtains are open.
What were you go? Shh,
I
Mr.
see
Palmer,
them
Mr.
on
Palmer.
the couch.
What'd you go there 1 o'clock in the morning for?
Because I knew she was fooling around on me, and that was my waterbed in the house. And when they were on the couch, I was all fine with it. That's how she wants to be. That's how she can be. But when they moved into my waterbed, that's my personal property, I wasn't going to have it. You need written consent to be in my waterbed, pretty much. So I let myself in the door and said, not in my waterbed, everybody else. And the police came and stood by while I drained my waterbed, and I left the same time the police did that night. They stood by for 2 hours while I drained my waterbed and took it apart and moved it next door.
But
it wasn't happening in my bed.
Doesn't that sound like a big baby to you? You took police officers who should have been out on the street taking care of important business.
They actually commended me for keeping my head.
I'm speaking.
Sorry.
Making sure that people's homes are safe, that there aren't muggers in the street, that people aren't getting raped. and you had them stand there for 2 hours while you drained your waterbed so your former girlfriend wouldn't...
They stood by to make sure it didn't turn into a bloodbath, I think.
It shouldn't have turned into a bloodbath. You should have gone home, taken a cold shower, gotten into your bed, and said, listen, I got to deal with this like an adult. You went over there at 1 o'clock in the morning.
My name was on the lease. I had every right to be there.
Mr. Palmer, you're being a big baby, and the name you called her is not a nice name. And if you called your old girlfriend that name, it wasn't nice to call your old girlfriend that name. Did you get hit over the head by your old girlfriend?
That was a different name I called her. And I fully deserved that one.
Your Honor, one of the most important things...
Just a second. I want to see the information that you have from your mechanic.
These are... One of the receipts is missing, so I had to make a statement about some of the things that he had done for me. There were towing fees. There's...
Just a second.
And that car has a locking gas cover.
Not anymore. The gentleman that worked on my car fixed it the first time. It was running fine. Then it broke down.
Listen to me. You can't testify for somebody else, and neither can the person who fixed this car.
Right, that's why I had to make that statement. But he had told me it had to have happened on 2 separate occasions. There was no way after he drained and cleaned the tank the first time that the car could have done what it did again unless somebody had put flour in the tank again.
Probably right, but that's not evidence that I can hear.
Okay.
From you. Okay. He owes you $500 that he's going to pay you back for damaging the apartment and also the advertising fee. He lost his temper. You hit him first.
Your Honor, I did not hit him.
I don't care whether you went like this, because I don't believe you went like this to his forehead. I want you to understand that. Just because you look like a very sweet gal, I don't believe that when he came home, you said to him, honey, you usually don't come home this late. You're an hour and a half late. Where were you?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. You were screaming and you were yelling and he called you a foul name. You came back into the room and you gave him a clop in the forehead, right? And as a result of giving him a clop in the head, he got mad and he tore up the place instead of tearing your head off.
While my children were there.
Well, you chose to hit him when your children were there, madam. Don't you think that your children heard it when you were screaming at him, where have you been so late?
I was not screaming at him.
Please. Grow up. I'm not stupid.
I wasn't even able to press assault charges.
Listen to me very carefully, madam.
He ruined my couch, my TV.
I don't care. He didn't ruin your head. You hit it close. You struck him first. He reacted by damaging your property. That was bad temper. The fact that he's got a foul mouth is also not a good thing. You say, with my children there? With your children there, you started it with him. He reacted badly. He's got a bad temper, but you started it. You started the screaming. He didn't. And if you didn't like the fact that he was out until 12:30 in the morning, you should have scooped up your children and left. Do you understand? I'm not interested in the hearing.
But my older...
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy saw through her little act.
The emotional stress that I've been through in the last year has been... I mean, you can't put a price on it.
Truth came out, I guess.
I've never had anybody put their hands on me like he did that night.
Well, I know I lost my temper.
He had his hands around my neck, and I was trying to protect myself.
It's been 9 months since I've had any contact with her at all. I wish she'd just leave it alone.
Don't move in with someone until you are married.
Be careful.
Or you've spent a lot of time with them.
Vindictive woman.
And don't be fooled by someone just because they have a smile and can be nice to you.
Leave me alone.